Bouillon. This song playing here is by WCK, a band from Dominica, and the name of the song is called Bouillon. The also style of music, it's soca, but it's called Bouillon. The style of soca from Dominica is called Bouillon. The concept that we use for these videos is we take a word or an idea which we find in the Creole culture of Saint Lucia and we expand on it. Using local knowledge, we expand on that word. The word that we're going to be using today is called bouillon. Now, bouillon is a French word which means a stock or a soup. Now, coming from the island with the ideas of pirates and buccaneers and buried treasure, you have two interesting words, bouillon and bullion. Bullion, of course, is melted gold or nugget bars of gold and silver, and bouillon is a boiled stock or broth. Both bouillon and bouillon have the same root origin. They are derived from the old French word bouillon, which roughly translates to boiling. Boiling simply means you liquefy the stock or the item in which something has been boiled. Bouillon is made from meat bones, fish, or vegetables. They are considered stocks and they have presumably been around since man or mankind first discovered fire. Bouillon is a popular ingredient in kitchens virtually everywhere around the world. Now, bouillon in Saint Lucia is a one-pot stew. Okay? Now, made with ground provisions, yams, eddos, taros, dashings, green bananas, plantains, sometimes a kneaded dough called dumplings is added. I've made a video on dombwe. You should check it out when you get a chance. Peas and beans are also added, and a leafy vegetable is very important to add, like amaranth or even kalaloo, which is the tiny shoots or the soft leaves of the taro plant is added to give it that hearty, leafy mix. So I've done a video also on cooking with Africa about amaranth, and I've done a video also on kalaloo. You should check those out when you get a chance as well. Now, in the Middle Ages, families had the habit of hanging a pot or cauldron at the fireplace, and day by day they would add whatever was available to enrich that water or that broth, collecting every product from the garden or whatever they had for the day, recovering the less valuable scraps of meat who were not the well-to-do people, because bouillon and broths and stock came out of the poorer people of France and in Europe, as well as having an effect on the way cooking is done in the New World as well, in the Caribbean and in the Americas by the slaves. So we're looking at a survival-based innovation, broth and bouillon. Now, for the slaves, imagine the less valuable scraps of meat were given to them. Stuff like the offals, the intestines, the feet, the hocks. That's why you have, like in Jamaican popular cuisine and Caribbean popular cuisine, you have cow heel soup. You have in America grits and chitlin. You have in the Caribbean, like I said, bouillon. Now, that bouillon in the Caribbean, the types of meat that would be added to it, apart from the wild yams and the tubers and the corms, would be meats like crabs, eels, crayfish, opossum, even the opossum, agouti, which is a wild hare-like animal which was there during the time of the indigenous people, and also wild hogs. Now, in one of the idea that bouillon is very good for you or hearty, you will realize that stocks and soups is like mama's favorite thing to give to the child when he's not feeling sick. Also, in popular movies, you will see that whenever the protagonist or the star is beaten up, like in a kung fu movie, or they're almost killed, that they have a rejuvenation process where they feed them a liquid soup or something so that they can regain their strength, go back training, and then go back and take revenge. This is a popular idea in movies about fortifying oneself with a broth or a soup. Okay, so this animal stock is used as a collagen rich and simmered down, a collagen rich liquid simmered down, and this gelatin extraction is very rich and provides strength and rejuvenation. In the 14th century, the Megaya warriors of Hungary boiled salted beef until it fell apart, cut it into pieces, dried it in the sun, ground it into a powder, and carried it around in small bags so that they could eat. It's almost like a tea bag with a hearty tea bag, the forerunner of maybe one of the soups, right? But credit for the invention of bouillon is given to Duke Godfrey, who was said to have developed a clear, flavorful soup in his castle in Bouillon, Belgium. Now, the cook Antoine Carême, who was in the service of Napoleon, Tsar Alexander, and the banker James Mayer Rothschild, he cooked for all those people, came up with a recipe for potable chicken glaze, which it is said was used by the cook to provide Napoleon with a hot meal even during his travels. Now, Napoleon Bonaparte famously said, "An army travels on its stomach. Soup makes the soldier." The peace treaty in Switzerland in 1529 between the Catholics and Protestants concluded with soldiers from both sides sharing a milk soup from the same pot. So the Italians used the term embrodo, literally means in broth. Matzo ball soup by the Jewish. Versions of embrodo is the matzo ball soup, using chicken stock as the base. Then you have the Vietnamese pho, you have Japanese dashi, you have ramen, menudo in Mexico, and lab labli in Tunisia. Lab labi in Tunisia are all forms of broths and stock-based stews which are hearty and good for you. Now, most people are familiar with dehydrated bouillon cubes. These are famous now. You have brands like XO, British, Swiss brand Maggi, and the German brand No. So it's bouillon and stock, dehydrated stock cubes are used all over the world. In the late 18th century, Benjamin Thompson was known as Count Rumford, a British loyalist. Benjamin Thompson, also known as Count Rumford, was a British loyalist who fled New England, and he invented a forerunner to the bouillon cube. He solidified a stock of bones and meat trimmings to feed the Duke of Bavaria's army. In the 19th century, Paris, the first bouillon to open, where bouillon was considered a type of restaurant, not only just a recipe for stocks, right? In Paris, the first bouillon to open was by a man named Pierre-Louis Duval, a butcher who in 1855 decided to start selling beef stew in broth in his shop, a dish that immediately became popular among the workers of the general markets of Les Halles. Now, Les Halles could mean butcher shop. I think it does in French, because in Creole, when you go to the halle, you go to the butcher place. Now, both broth and made history, and not only in cooking, but during World War II, in the 1940s, rationing rules became increasingly strict, because during the war, food was not abundant, right? But then they came up with a substitute which contained broth in it to help feed the people during World War II. Now, Japan chemist, inspired by his wife miso soup, made monosodium glutamate, which is important, which is MSG. Well, that is, he made it from kombu, a building block for the Japanese stock dashi. Now, you get Nigerian soup, Senegal meats, Ghana foods, Congolese smoked chicken, North African cooking, East African cooking, Asia, Chinese, Japanese cooking, Europe, all use stocks. All over the world, cooking use stocks. It is a hearty, good food for you. When you're sick, you use stocks. So we started off with the French word bouillon, and we also found in Creole that there's a dish made called bouillon, which has yams, bananas, green bananas, leafy vegetables, and the cook de gras is coconut cream added, amaranth, kalaloo. So this bouillon is a hearty one-pot stew from the Creole culture of Saint Lucia as well, and bouillon is a stock, liquefied stock from the French culture, which finds itself in Creole culture as well. So you have local meats in that Creole culture, like crabs, agouti, wild boar can be added to this but you also have regular chicken and beef also. It is popular to go to the beach or near to the river and put out a pot and make a bouillon stew. So go ahead and make yourself a bouillon stew. Hit the like button for the algorithm, and I will see you around for more. Today we looked at bouillon.